Hi guys, we will wait for a few more minutes and then we'll start. Hi guys, welcome to the webinar. First of all, I would like to thank you for joining us on this session. So before we start, let me tell you some of the ground rules of this webinar. You all will be on mute mode during the session, and you will be unmuted for the question answer round after the session. In case somebody wants to ask any question in between of the session, you have the option of typing your question in the chat window, and our technical team will answer that question as soon as possible. This webinar is being recorded, and you can get the recording from by subscribing on our YouTube channel. So there are so many recordings also available of the previous webinar which we have already conducted. So this recording will also be, updated in our YouTube channel. So you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are sharing the link to our YouTube channel on the chat window. My name is Rishika Omar, and I am the marketing consultant for DevLabs Alliance. Now I'll move to the next slide and quickly give you introduction about our company, like who we are and what we do. So DevLabs Alliance is the leading provider of technical training and consulting services. When I say technical training, here I will, name some of our top trending trainings and workshops. That is SDL and automation, robotics, process automation, data science and machine learning, DevOps, blockchain, performance testing, and soft skills also. We have presence across various continents, Asia, Canada, USA. Also, we are having very rich pool of IT professionals, consultants, and advisors in the respective segments. For more information, you can go through our website. Coming to the next slide, why you should choose us? Practical workshops with zero theory. Our sessions are completely hands-on with use cases and assignment oriented. Number two, we have limited batch size so that you get the focused attention. Number three, our trainers are subject matter experts and have real-time industry experience. Number four, last but not the least, our course curriculum is designed as per the industry standard. So now coming to the slide wherein we have something for those who wants to, enroll for the course today itself, because we are offering special 10% instant discount on the course fees. Our team is sharing the link with you over the chat window for the same. You can, apply this coupon code on our website and you can get the 10% instant discount till 16th of April. This coupon code is valid till 16th of April. So you have time till tomorrow. So who wants to enroll for this course and avail this offer immediately can, click on the link which has been shared with you over the chat window and can avail this offer. Our next batch is going to start from 22nd of April, and this will be for 9 weekends. Now, coming to a slide wherein we have some offer for you. Like we are giving you a free tutorial download. This link I am sharing with you on the chat window. And for the people, I think everybody who is here in this, who has joined this webinar will want a certificate of participation of this webinar. So we are sharing this link with you. You just need to fill up your name, email ID, just basic information. You just need to fill up so that we can, prepare your certificate of participation, and you'll get the email within, 48 hours of time, and your certificate participation attached to that email. So that is there. So we are sharing these links with you over the chat window, guys. And you just need to fill a few of the 4 or 5 fields in there, just basic information, fill it out, complete this task, and let's move forward. So basically, while you are, doing this task, I just wanted to give you a quick introduction about our trainer. Our trainers are basically the real-time industry experts, and with having more than 10 years of experience in the same field. So with this, I would like to give this hand it over to our trainer Afrin. Afrin, you can take this forward. Just give them 5 minutes to provide the information on the links we have provided over the chat window, so that we can send them the respective certificates for the participation on this webinar. And then Afrin, you can start.
Okay, thanks Rishika. Hello everyone, good morning and good evening. So my name is Afrin. So I have a 10 plus years of experience in the same field which I am going to explain like SDET. So what is SDET? SDET is a software development engineer in test. So I have experience on handling multiple projects using the SDET skill set like automation testing using different tools, API testing using different tools and also performance testing. I worked across different more than 5 companies in overall 10 plus of years of experience. This is an introduction about myself. Uh, let's start the webinar. Let me share my screen. Let me know if you can able to see my screen. Anybody? Just confirm. Rishika, can you able to see my screen? Just confirm. Rishika.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
it's visible.
Yeah. Thank you. So today's agenda is learn API testing within 90 minutes. So what is the agenda? API testing with rest assured. Introduction and the importance of API testing, understanding the REST API architecture, Postman versus REST assured differences, prerequisite and installation of the REST assured, JSON map manipulations, CRUD operations, what we are going to use using the REST assured and the API for API testing, validating the REST API responses and REST assured API automation framework. This is today's agenda. Let's quick move on to the next slide. The next slide is this is an introduction to API testing. So what is a API testing? API means application programming interface where we are testing the APIs without using our user interface. We have the APIs interacting with the APIs using the CRUD operations, and we are validating the response from the server. You can see here in the picture whenever we have our browser apps in the browser. So if whenever you send some request, so it will connect to the server, but we don't see the API what is interacting from the browser and it to server. We do not have access to see it. But let's consider an example that whenever if you are starting a scratch application, when in the industry a application is starting from the scratch, directly we are not going to develop a UI means user interface. We are not going to develop a user interface. The logic given or the requirement given by the client, we are first business requirement we are going to develop. Means here we are going to develop APIs. We are having the URI for every APIs, and to test that business logic it working fine or not. And whenever we send some request to the server, whether with the respective request, the response we are exactly what we are expecting is coming or not, we are validating through API without UI also user interface. And this we call as a gray box testing. This API testing in software industry we call as a gray box testing. If you see in the picture, a person is a person is interacting with the browser. Whenever he sends some request through API, you can see here API is in the middleware. That API takes the request along with the data. If you are sending some data to the server, the API will be the intermediator or interface, act as the interface. Then it will take the data as a request and it will perform the operation on the server, and our API is or the user is requesting some response from API or server, the server returns the response. That is a to and fro. Some request sent to the server through API and response coming from the server to browser through API. The server may be a database. The server may be a database. For example, let me tell you one example here. Let me tell you one example how API works. We have a login application. Here the login application, what a user do, a user has to enter email address, use valid username and the valid password. Whenever a user click login button, once he enter the valid username and the password, clicks the login button, the login button will be connected to API. That whenever we perform a event on login button, the API will send the request taking the data from the browser which user has entered. For example, here in this case, the scenario is username and the password. API takes the data, username and the password whenever the user clicks the login button and send the request to the server. Here in this case, the database may be a server. And what the server will interact to the database here. The API, what it will do, it will take that username and the password, it will check at the server level whether that respective username is present or not in the database. If that username is existing already, then it will validate if the respective username, whatever the password the user entered, is valid or not. If it is valid, then it is sending some response to user, then the user can able to log into the application. Here the API is performing the task, sending the request to the server. Server is validating the details and sending the response. Yes, it is correct. Then we can the user can able to successfully log into the application. The middle layer, the interface from UI to server is API. Here API, this is the most important here. The API without any UI also we can test whether the business logic whatever our developer has developed is working or not. We can use the API testing. Next, what API testing example? Let's consider. Let me tell you one example here. Before that, in a software application will follow different layers of architecture. The first layer is presentation layer, second layer is middle layer or business layer or application layer, third layer is data layer. First is presentation layer, second one is application layer, third one is data layer. Presentation layer, we are giving the user or the end customer to see or interact with the application. We have amazon.com, that is the application. User can able to access that application and he can able to perform some operation using that UI. That is a presentation layer. What developer will do, we have different programming languages to develop presentation layer: HTML, JavaScript, CSS, AngularJS, Golang. We have different programming languages to develop presentation layer. That is a different case. We are testing presentation layer using different tool like Selenium. The application layer, we will the application layer is the business layer. Here, how our UI act as per our business, that logic we will write in the application layer. Here we are going to use Java, Java, Python, C Sharp, .NET. We have different programming language to develop the application layer. The developer are going to write the business logic what the client is expecting here. The presentation layer to show how our UI user interface look like, and the customer can able to interact or play with that application or perform some operation. But application layer, here is the business layer. What we are doing, we are writing the business logic, and that business logic we are connecting to the UI. Whenever the user performs operation on UI, the business layer takes the request and connect to the database or data layer. Here data layer means we have databases: MySQL, Oracle, MongoDB, PostgreSQL, SQL Server, or if you are using CRM application, we have different databases. The middle layer, application layer, will act as the interface between UI and the data layer. Whatever the operations a presentation layer utilizing the presentation layer customer is performing, that request takes by application layer, and the request sent to the data layer, and data layer validate that operation, sends the response to application layer. The application layer again sends that request to the presentation layer. Here is the example. Let's take example here. If you go to any restaurant, if you go to any restaurant, here interface or middle person will be the waiter, the server, right? The server, what he will do, whenever a customer or a client visited a restaurant, what he will do, he will take the order from the client. Means he is taking the request from the client. food order, ordering food. So the server is taking the here, the person, what he will do, he will takes the request, food order request from the client. He sends that request to server. The server is here, the person who is cooking at kitchen. Once the middle person or API sends the request to the server, he prepares the food and he responds whenever the food is ready. He sends to again to the server. The person we waited. Then what he will do? He again serves to the client. The middle person, what he is here is the API, application programming interface. This is a simple example if you want to understand in the real time scenario. The client, the middle person who is taking the request and he is sending the request to the server. The server is the person or the department who is cooking. Once the cooking is done, the department is sending to the APIs and the API is sending to the client. Here in this way, to and fro, sending the request, getting the response. This is an example of API testing. So what are the benefits of API testing? We have presentation layer, we have application layer or business layer, we have database layer or data layer. We need to understand what are the benefits we are getting using API testing. The first one is language independent application access without user interface. As I already explained in an example, without UI, you can access the application. We have different tools like Swagger. That is a Swagger. A Swagger is a tool. We using the Swagger, we can access the application. We can perform the application without UI utilizing the Swagger tool. Application access without user interface, most fast releases, add benefits, cost effective, enhanced test coverage. The first one is language independent. The data which is shared through APIs are XML format and JSON format, so that the language cannot use to automate testing. XML is usually structured data which makes verification faster and stable. Currently, we are using web services. Whenever we are using web services, JSON, JavaScript object notation, we call JSON as a JavaScript object notation. We are using this language for data sharing. Previously used to use XML, WSDL file, WDL file. Now currently we are using JSON formats. Next is access, application access without user interface. API testing main core benefits is it is providing to access the functionality without user interface. The user should not interact with the user interface. Then what we can do, we can give the API so that the user can take the API and he can access the functionality of the application. He can access the application functionality without user interface using APIs. Next is enhanced test coverage. Most API services have parameters which allows us to create high coverage automate test, including functional testing, non-functional testing. We can non-functional testing means performance test. We can use using the URI or APIs. We can perform automation test also. Non-functional test means here how many users can hit that APIs, what are the response, how much time it is taking to hit for the response. So here using APIs, we can enhance the test coverage by performing different type of software testing types. Functional testings we can perform, non-functional testing also we can perform. Next is cost effective. Automation of API testing requires fewer code than automated GUI. GUI means graphical user interface. GUI means graphical user interface, where we used to use the application like Amazon.com application, eBay.com application, Flipkart.com application. That is the GUI, which is providing the user to interact with the application and perform the operation without using without compared to GUI automate testing. API test requires fewer code than automated GUI test. Let me tell you an example. If you are using any automation tool using for GUI, we need to open the browser, we need to set the exe file, and we need to find the xpaths or locators, and we need to hit the url, we need to perform the operations using the GUI. But for with API test, what we can do, we need a you need a URI to hit, and we need the data to pass it. These two only required, not required any tool, not required to open any browser, not required any locators. Means here what is the meaning I am meaning to say here is automation of API test requires fewer code than automated GUI test, thereby offering quicker test results and best coverage of test. Next one is more fast releases. It is common for executing API test to save up 8 hours compared with the UI test. We can save our time comparing to UI testing. Using the API test, we will use comparing to API testing and GUI testing. The API testing requires less time than UI testing. The UI testing takes more time by opening the browser, hitting the URL, and locating the element and performing each and every operation. But API testing within 1 second also it can perform testing. Usually across the industries, what we will do if we want to create any data and perform the operation, what we will do, we will use APIs to create the data, take the data created using API and open the data using UI. So that we are saving the time. We have 100 of test cases. For 100 of test cases, we need a prerequisite is test data. Every time if you want to create a test data for 100 test cases, first UI what it will do, it will create the data then perform operation. Instead of that, in across the industries, what we will do, we'll use the combination of API and UI, so that we are utilizing API testing to create a data and UI testing to validate the user interface by opening the data created by using API test. Here we are saving the time and we are making more fast releases. And add benefits here, we can have 100% editable here. Next one. Next one is what are the CRUD operations of API testing? What we will perform on UI? On UI, basically what we will do, if you consider as Amazon.com, we'll search for a product, we'll click button, we'll enter a username and password, we'll select any product, we'll go to product, all products page, we'll select any products, we'll go to payments. But in API testing, we'll perform CRUD operations. CRUD means C means create, read, update, delete. These are the operations we are going to perform using API testing. Each and every operation has different HTTP methods. Then using these HTTP methods, we are performing CRUD operations. For create, the method will be post method. What this post method will do, it will take the URI and it will take the data to be posted on server, data to be posted on the server. If you see the picture in the slide, we have different CRUD operations. For each and every CRUD operations, we have one HTTP method. Post is for create, get is for read, put is for update, delete is for delete. Create is for post. HTTP method for create operation is post. What post will do, post operation, what it will take, it will take URL, and also it will take, if our application need authentication, that authentication required, as well as the data is required. The data you can take in the format of JSON or in the format of XML, in the format of text, however you take based on your application. Whenever you use post, the data whatever you are using, the data will be posted at the server, and the server what it will do, it will return the response whenever the data is posted or added to that application successfully. We have some codes, I will explain you the HTTP codes. That codes are the recognitions of our perform operations. Next method is read. What is read will do? F- to read any data from the server, to read any data. For example, for Amazon.com, if you search with any product, for example, mobiles, we are getting all the results related to mobile. How we are getting? That is connected to a get, that is connected to a get product URL. That get product URL, that is whenever we hit it, all the products whatever present in the system, it is giving has a UI. But we get, whenever if you want to read using API, we'll use HTTP get method. We don't require any input. If you want any specific input, we need to give the ID of that specific data. If you want all the data, we just need a common URL, so that whatever the data present for that respective URL, the data will be retrieved using read or get operation. Next one is update. For update any data, to update any data, we are going to use put HTTP method. We are going to use put HTTP method. What it will do? If we want to update, if we want to update any data already existed at server, we will update using the put operation. Using the put method, we will update. Here we need to pass the field which we are going to update on the specific record. Which field we are going to update on the specific record, we are going to perform using update operation. Next method is delete. What delete will do? For delete, HTTP method is delete. It will delete the record present at server. We need to pass the ID of the record. Then using delete operation, we can remove that record itself from the server. These are the CRUD operations we are going to use for our API testing. Mostly we will use put, get, put, post, get, put. These are the three operations we will use. Any, if any requirement or any scenarios we are getting to delete, we are going to use delete operation. The server side, without here, without using UI, we are performing this operation. No need of user interface. Without user interface, we are going to perform this CRUD operations: create, read, update. Next, HTTP status codes. What are the HTTP status codes? What does this mean? HTTP status codes are recognizers or identifiers of our operation responses. Our operation responses. We have different series of HTTP codes, status codes. First is 100, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 series. 100 series, 200 series, 300 series, 400 series, 500 series. Whenever we are performing CRUD operation, we will get this status codes, so that we can identify what is the result of this request. What is the result of this request? We can identify using HTTP status codes. 100 series, we have 100, 101, 102. 100 means this is the informational code. Whenever, if our, what happens if our URL is changed to another URL, then it is continue, it will change to another URL, or it will give the processing if it give 102. 200 series is success. If you are just using get operation using get HTTP method, we will get only 200. Okay, the operation is successful, you will get the data as a response. 201 means if we want to create any data using the post method, whenever that post method is successful, you will get a response as a 201. It's a created. Likewise, we have different 200 series. The 200 series for is for success. 300 series means redirectional. Our URL is redirected to the another URL. The system is present. Previously, we used to have some URL to access the application, but that application URL has been changed to another URL. For redirectional, we are getting 300 series, 301 for multi choices, and then moved permanently 301. Likewise, we have different redirectional status code. Next one is 400. 400 means client error. 400 means client error. If you are getting any issue with the request, the response is not happening, or that operation is not performing, our server, it will gives the response has a 400 series codes. 400 series code, 400 means bad request, 40 means unauthorized. If you are failing to give the proper username and password, if you are hitting or if you are performing the operation, it will give 401, the unauthorized. So 4044 is not found, that URI itself not found. This type of 400 series, if you get, means that is a client error. Then 500 series is server errors, server side errors. 500, 501, these are the status HTTP status codes to we are getting as a response to identify our request is successful or not. Next, what are the tools we are using for API testing? We have Postman, SOAP UI, Rest Assured. Postman is a tool we need to install in our system, and SOAP UI also a tool we need to install in our system. Rest Assured is a library. Rest Assured is a library. Let me show you what is a Postman. If you see here, this is my Postman. The Postman has its own user interface. Here, if I click plus, you can see here what are the methods we are going to use. Get, post, put, patch, delete. We have different operation HTTP methods also, but for API testing, what we are going to use, we are going to use get, post, put, patch, delete. We need to select the HTTP request, and also give we need to give the URI. See here, I am giving one example URI, and I'm require the specific data ISBN. If I send this, it is giving the body, the response from the server. The response we are getting the data with respect to the URI what we have with respect to this HSBN ID. For example, if we want all the books data present in that bookstore bookstoretools.com site, just will send request using get. I am not giving any specific ID. You can see here all the data present in the server. Now you can see here, we can see so much data here. 4.65 KB data, multiple data we are getting. Now we can see here the status also 200 series. It means it is okay. If you want any specific data to be retrieved, so the unique identification field along with the data we need to provide it. ISBN, this is a field here. I am giving it that specific data. What I am doing, I am accessing it. See here again 200 series. In Postman also we can write our script. Here Postman is only supporting JavaScript. Only supporting JavaScript. PM is a object for Postman, and test is a method. What we are expecting, this is a function, callback function. We are getting the response, and whenever we are getting the response with this method, we are just writing a assertion to check our status is 200 or not. Whenever our status is 200, you can see test results pass. For example, I am expecting our test results will be 400. 400. Then you can see here that status we are getting 200, but we are expecting is 400. You can see here assertion error. The response is 400 but got 200. In this way, in Postman also we can write validations also. Postman is a tool which way for API testing. So PUA also we need to install, we need to download from the internet. There also we need to create our test. Next is Rest Assured. Rest Assured is a library. We have different libraries for Python, we have different libraries for Java. We need to take or install the libraries from the internet, and then we can utilize for our API testing. This is predominantly using across the industries. Postman is only for manual testing. So API,
Afrin, just a moment. People are saying the screen is freezed. I think you need to reshare the screen.
oh, okay, just a minute.
Yeah.
I hope I am not sure. Okay.
Guys, meanwhile, we are sharing the
Yep.
link again to the certificate of participation of this webinar and the free tutorial which we are going to provide it to you. So just click on the link and fill out the information, and you can, get the free tutorial and the certificate of participation on this webinar.
Fine. Now you can able to see, right, my postman, right?
Yes, yes, screen
Okay,
is
fine.
visible.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is the postman tool. In this postman tool, we have different HTTP methods. We have collections, APIs. We can set the environment also, in which environment we are executing. That is a variable. We can set the environment variable, and we can set the global variable also. And we can perform different operation using the API. For example, this is a simple API I'm using here. Using this API, this is the application, but UI is not present for this application. Already data is present at the server or data layer. If you want to retrieve all the data present
Screen,
at
your
that,
screen is still not visible. I mean, there is just a black screen, and we can see the list of participants. No PPT is reflecting out here.
I am not showing the PPT, I am showing the postman.
No, nothing is reflecting out there.
Can you see now, postman?
No,
No?
no.
Not sure what is the issue. Let me check again.
And everybody is messaging also the same thing, that nobody is able to see that.
Okay, entire screen. Now you can able to see, right?
Yeah, your screen is yes, yes. Now it
You
is
can see,
visible.
you can see the
Yes,
postman
yes,
now.
we can see that. Yes,
Okay.
yes, it's visible.
Sorry guys, sorry for inconvenience. So I am sharing now the entire screen. Okay, sorry for
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Not a
This is
problem.
the this is postman. In the postman, in this section you can see here different HTTP methods. Here we have collection of our APIs, and we can set the environment variable also. We can set the environment variable, we can set our global variable, and we can set a collection variable. And this is the API I am going to hit. This is we using the postman we can perform only manual testing, and we can perform only manual testing, and also only it will support JavaScript. It will support JavaScript. This is the URL or URI. For this URI, we do not have the user interface. This is connected to the database or data layer. We have books. We have for each and every books, we have title, subtitle, author. Whenever I use the get, and if I click send, you will see here all the data, not only one data, all the data present, all the book details data we are getting in the form of a JSON array. This is a JSON. If I get raw, you can see here. You can get pretty, you can see each and everything. This is a JSON format. You can change here JSON format, XML format you can change, and HTML format you can change. Any format you can change. And also you can provide your authorization details here, and any headers you can add it here. The headers, if you add here, the headers parameters, if you add here, the parameters are going to add to your URI. For example, I want only one specific data, one book specific data. The ISBN is the field in the, if you see here in my output, ISBN response body, this is the response. ISBN is the field with the any ISBN number. If I try to get, I can get only one data. You can see here I am getting only one data. We can write some assertions also using the test tab. Here PM is the object of the postman, and this is the method we are writing. This supports only JavaScript. Using the PM object, we are getting the response, and we are verifying the status is 400, but we are getting the status as a 200. That's why this test is getting failed. For example, if I write 200, if I hit here, then you will get status is passed, because our HTTP code is getting successfully performing and getting the response as a 200 success message. This is the use of postman. And also soap UI we can use for manual testing. Rest assured is for automation testing. We are getting the libraries through internet for Java, Python, and we can add to our project. We can integrate rest assured for our UI framework also. Rest assured, we can develop Rest assured framework, not only a standalone framework, we can integrate Rest assured framework with our Selenium framework also. What are the prerequisites required for our rest assured framework? We need to create a Maven project. Then we need a stable version of rest assured dependency. What is the Maven? We no need to install from the internet. We need to add in the pom.xml rest assured library version. Then we need to create the packages and the classes, and we are going to add testng library to execute our test, and we are going to write simple code, and we are verifying the result. See here, what is the JSON manipulation? What we call, we require the POSO classes so that we can perform JSON manipulations. What are the operations we can perform using JSON? We can we can build our data in the JSON format, and also we can validate different operations using JSON, and we can convert our POSO to JSON. We can convert our POSO to XML or HTML, or we can convert XML to POSO. We require POSO classes to perform JSON operation. Next is, what is this framework? How it frameworks looks like? We can query, we can write a path, we can write our JSON, we can write our Excel, whatever the data, our request format we are taking, and we are using this get, post, put, delete operations. These operations we are performing using under framework. Our framework folders look like here. Our framework folders contains utilities, resources, API test. These are the different packages for utilities. What are the reusable components required for API testing? We are going to write in different classes. REST utilities, helper methods, and for each and every test methods, we are going to create one package and writing in different classes, and also we are writing test suits. And this, what it will do in test methods, we are performing different API operations that will send the request, and we are getting the response. The response, either it may be a JSON format or XML format, we are validating here. Let me show you one simple rest assured. If you see here, in you can see my Eclipse, right? Just anybody confirm, can you able to see my Eclipse? Anybody see my Eclipse? Yes. Okay. Thank you. This is a pom.xml. What are the prerequisite libraries required for our REST assured API framework? What we are doing, we are keeping in pom.xml. Whenever we keep in the pom.xml, the prerequisite libraries, it will download from the internet. Maven is a build tool. It will download from the internet if our libraries is not present in our system. Whenever it downloads, it will add those dependencies into your project under Maven dependencies. Then this is a structure. We are writing endpoints. In the endpoints, we are writing all our endpoints, and for user points, we have different applications, different pages. User are different applications. For each and every application, we are creating create user, read user, update user. In that, we are writing our components. Whenever we are performing test in test method, this is a this is testng method. What we are doing, we are calling that helper methods are reusable components. This is a standalone test. I just created it. If you see here, rest assured dot base URL. Rest assured is a class. Base URL is a string, static string. Already it is present. What we need to assign the value here. This is the URI we are assigning to the base URL, and we have these are the rest assured. From from rest assured, we are using this classes here, and then we are going to use get method, when, then methods to perform different operations. So whenever we request something, we are calling given request dot given, and then we are getting request specifications. Using this request specification object, we are calling a get method and passing our URL. So you can, I'm passing a specific URL to get a specific value of it. And then what we are doing, once we perform the get operation, this http get operation, it is returning a response, has a response object. So that's why we are assigning that response object to response interface. Then using this response reference, we are calling get status code. What it will do, it will give the status, either it may be 400, it may be 200, either it may be 300. And response dot pretty print, it will print the output how we have seen here. The same output whatever we have seen here, it will print on console. Let me execute this. We are just executing by right click run as testng. Basically we required for testng project, we need testng xml. I didn't create, but in our class regular sessions I will create. I will show you in depth. You can see here the data and the status code what we received and the response. The status code is giving the status code as well as the body, and the pretty print method is giving the response. If you want all the data, let's let me do one thing. Let me pass this one. Now if I run, you will get all the book details data present at server. For this, no need required UI. I am not using any URL of our UI. See here the data we got and we are printing on console. This is about API testing using rest assured. So any questions? Any questions? Anybody has any questions? This is for now. It's time for Q&A. You can type in chat. What is a POM? POM is a XML file. Maven is giving a POM.xml. POM means project object model. The full form of POM is project object model, where we are writing our plugins, the dependencies required. It is making our task easy by automatically downloading from the internet. If we require anything, what we will do, we need to install from the internet, but POM is doing that. Do we need to know Java programming to work on rest assured? For Selenium or any automation tool, you require basics of Java until core Java, which we are going to teach. The use of variables is, so we cannot say, for example, if you want to use the variable across each and every HTTP, variable is storing the data. If any time, for example, we have performing different methods in collection, post, put, each and everything. In any time that URI has been changed, we need to update each and every HTTP method. Instead, if we use the variable, we are changing at one level. What is a Pojo class? Pojo class is giving a methods we can use for JSON manipulations. Does it mean API and API testing will not be usable in a stable website with web page? What does it mean? I didn't get your question. Can you please get explain about authentication? Okay, for example, authentication means, let's say Gmail. If you want to log into Gmail, you require username and password, right? And if you are using API also, you need to authenticate, then only you can perform the any HTTP operations. First authenticate, then perform HTTP methods like get, post, any operations. How do you create reports for all the API we have tested? We can integrate any tool. We have extend reports. We are going to integrate for our framework that is giving the operations per API testing test cases reports. What is authentication in API and token? So for every in API we require a token that we call a session token. A token is a just a string. It will have some expiry date. After that it will expire. We need to generate a new token for our authentication. We require authentication. Some application required username and password along with the authentication token. Then only we can able to access. Difference between UI and API testing. UI means, so let me share my screen. I will show you. let's take amazon.com or amazon.in. This is the UI. The user can able to hit the URL and he can able to see this UI and he can able to perform the operation. For example, if I am sending here mobiles, how this is taking mobile, once you click the search button, then only the result is coming. Here this search button is connected to the mobile API. You can see here the URL has been changed. Mobile k equals to mobile crd. See here, whatever you are, this is the URI. Whenever you hit it, you don't see anything, but whenever you perform mobile, if you type anything, you are not, your URL is not going to change. Once you click this button, that is integrated in the application layer, that URL is interconnected. It will take mobile as a string, it will send that request, that string mobile, the result has the response it is giving. So whatever the response, you can see here, this mobile data, this is the UI. We can perform UI testing in this way without using this application. We want to perform testing, we need of our application layer, we need API and rest assured. Screenshot is not visible. Can you please give me example how to create a variable? Variable is in different, is variable in Java is different from postman in Java. Okay, let me show you. Let me share my screen. Let me show you how to create in postman the variables, and in Java that is a different case. See here, you can see here the variables of our new environment. You can add a variable and the initial value and the current value, and you can add here, you can utilize instead of this complete this. For example, if you set any variable, you can write here in test, the test variable will be present here, the test variable will be present. Okay, see here, global variables we can add, environment variables you can add. In this way we can set the variables. In Java, variables is different. Java, what is a variable? Variable store a data. Is it must integrate any IDE with API testing tool? What does it mean? Can you please elaborate? From where to get URI to perform API testing? How to know with what payload we need to perform? Okay. So basically, in your project, if just I'm using the Swagger tools has given an example. So for example, here in the books, if you want to post any books, the format what it is giving, in this format it is giving, this is a JSON format and the application. And for example, if you want to get any details, any one detail, any book, it is asking to pass the ISBN code. Likewise, your application, whenever you are performing testing on your application, in the project requirement itself they will give the URL. API is for web application and mobile applications are same or different. Everything is same, but UI will differ. Which is the best automation tool for API testing? I can say best automation tool is rest assured. What is API testing definition? As I already said, right, API testing means application programming interface. The definition means without using the UI, interacting with the user interface, if you are performing the testing on the business layer, that is called API testing. So create a WhatsApp group. The management team will create a WhatsApp group and you can interact in that WhatsApp group. Can you show rest assured framework in your PPT again? Just a minute. Yeah, this is a sheet. This is a folder. Basically, how it interact. I have given in this format. It is to understand easily. We are having utilities, resources, and API test, and we are getting the reports also. We are getting reports also. Next, please share WSDL of URL if you want. This is, if you want, I can share you. This is a free one. Just I used for to show you in a demo. Then just want to note down something. Okay. Please pardon. Best API testing tool is rest assured. I already said. Then what is a JSON? JSON is a JavaScript object notation. We are getting JSON. That is a format. We are getting the response, and we are sending the data in the form of JSON. What is the difference between the web service and the API? Rest assured is only. Does all authentications handling in Postman can be handled through a, yes, the authentication, whatever you are handling through Postman, you can authenticate. You can authenticate through rest assured also. Whenever you are integrating say rest assured or Selenium framework, then we have different packages. We can utilize it. Is it important to give the data in the JSON format? Yes, it is a very faster if you give in the JSON format. If we have to do API testing, is we have integrated any ID tool like yes, we required for our UI testing and API testing. If we are using any programming language, we required a tool. We have different tools like Eclipse. We required Eclipse. Then we have ID IntelliJ. Now, the full form of XML is extensible markup language. What is the difference between API testing and SOAP UI testing, web services testing? See, we use SOAP UI is a tool. SOAP UI is a tool. Using the SOAP UI tool, like we have Postman, similar to Postman, we have a SOAP UI tool. We are going to use SOAP UI tool for our testing. How does we know how many headers we need to give? So based on your application URL. Any other questions? No, SOAP UI we are not going to use for test. We are not going to use for automation testing. Now Postman Chrome extension is not there. So as I already said, JSON format is looks like different from XML format. JSON full name I already said. XML full name I already said. XML, if you see here, we have our user defined notation like our HTML. We have a tags, right? For XML, we have our user defined definition. Using Postman, can we do IMPS? IMPS I didn't get. What is that? Can I use Android Studio instead of Eclipse? No. Sir, please reply. What is this? Sir, please reply. For which? Rest assured is for automation testing. Yes. When we upload the file, where you are uploading the file, the data will be in the JSON format. I didn't get. If the payload, if your post method is required, the payload is null. It will give some error message. The code is error message. Rishika, are you here? Anybody has any other questions? Is Postman we have to import files? It's not. We say it's not compulsory.
Yeah, so Afrin, I think we have taken almost every question. And guys, if you have any more queries, you can, send your queries to us over the mail. We are sharing the link again to the for the people who wants to, get the certificate of participation for this webinar. We are sharing the link with you over the chat window. Kindly click on that link, and you just need to fill up few fields like just basic information of your name, email id, phone number, just this information, and you'll get the certificate of participation on this webinar within 48 hours on your email id. Secondly, we are also, sharing the PDF, free PDF tutorial download on a link which we are sharing in the chat window. So you can download the free interview questions also from that PDF. Um, I would like to say, thank you for joining us on this webinar. I think any of your queries, if left unsolved, you can email to us, and our technical team will respond to you as soon as possible. So thank you, Afreen. Thank you for the wonderful
Thanks
session,
everyone.
and thank
Thank you.
you everyone for joining us on today's
Thanks. Bye.
webinar.